with everything what me say, you know. You wanna realize, my people, him come agree with all that I have said, and even put more to it, that Edward Siaga had the plan to build a new road up in the hills because we need to take the road off of the sea coast. And this administration, with their lack of vision, decide that it's not worth it. You see what me I talk about? Hold the line for me. You see what me I talk about, my people? You see what me I talk about? These people want to criticize, but I tell them every day that when we come here, we talk facts. Facts is what we talk. When we come here. Ralston, morning.
Morning, sir.
Long time we not talk. And the people have been clamoring to hear you and to hear what is happening in Jamaica. We don't waste no time. We're going right into it. Ralston, the Bank of Jamaica has been pumping money to save, to balance the Jamaican dollar. Give us an update on what is happening there.
Well, we lost another 29 cents yesterday after them intervened with about 100 million over the last 2 weeks because the country simply not earning enough foreign exchange. For the first 6 months of this year, we imported 3.74 billion and we only exported 1 billion. The oil bill alone was 1 billion. So our total exports couldn't pay for the oil bill. And that is going to be complicated down the road because of the foolish positions that we take in relation to Venezuela and the support that we gave to Israel for the genocide that they are carrying out in the Gaza at this party.
Ralston, before we go down to Israel deeply, when they put money in the to save the dollar, that 100 million, how much it cost us?
Well, if you multiply 100 billion by the exchange rate, you're talking about 15, 16 billion Jamaican dollars.
And what does that do to our economy? Is that a good thing that we have to be pumping money in it every week or every day?
No, it's not a good thing because we're supposed to be producing and earning foreign exchange in order to stabilize the exchange rate. What is happening is that the economy is not producing. So when you hear them talk, all we do is that we get back to where we were before COVID-19 because you drop off of the wall and you climb up back on the wall. So that's where we are. The economy is not growing. We recovered from the COVID-19 debacle, but the economy not growing because the government is not putting any focus on production. And the private sector more operate like a PR for the government than a producing unit.
And the oil bill, you mentioned that a while ago. We are now paying what, $90 a barrel?
Yeah, man. For the first 6 months, the bill was $1 billion. Last year, it was $2.4 billion.
If we had the oil edge, what would that have done for us?
The bill would have been significantly reduced by about 40%.
By about what?
30 to 40%, yeah.
But let's go 30%. That's a third.
Yeah, man.
So who knows?
Would have paying $66 a barrel rather than $90 per barrel.
But with the war, with what is happening in Israel, what is happening in Ukraine, how the outlook on oil stay?
Well, the World Bank says oil is going to go to $150 per barrel if the Middle East conflagration continue to spread. That means Jamaica's bill will jump to $3.5 to $4 billion. That's a train wreck.
And how are we going to pay that?
Them can't pay it. So what going to happen is that we're going to drain the reserves or the dollar continues to slide and lead to more inflation because them kick Venezuela in the stomach. So although America says Venezuela can sell oil for the next 6 months, Jamaica not on that list because them demand them. Right now, Venezuela was in the International Arbitration Court because them say they want 85 million for the 50 million that they gave us to expand Petrojam.
So hold on now. And that money, the government still hold on to that money and still not give it.
Still hold on to that money. That's why them carry us to the International Arbitration Court. And them say them now want 50 million. They want 85 million for the time that we hold on upon them money and pay them.
85 million US.
US dollars. What are you talking about, Jamaican dollars?
Venezuela want back them money.
Yeah, man.
Venezuela that Jamaica had a top of the line relationship with. Let's talk about the foreign policy of this government, how they deal with foreign policy and what does it cost us.
Yeah, well, the foreign policy is not based on any principle. It is based on personalities and transactional things. So them follow Trump and mess up Venezuela, despite the fact all year Nigel Clark talk about debt reduction. Venezuela played the most important role in reducing Jamaica's debt to GDP after them carried to 147% in 2012. Them time them in a government yet, it's still in a private sector, right? So Venezuela with the Petro-Carib deal and with the deal help us to bring down the debt to GDP ratio from 147 to 120. And then them turn around and follow Trump and kick the man them in them face and in them stomach and damage the relationship, and that is why we can't deal with Venezuela again. And then come now.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Jamaica was the first country after the US to say them give full-blooded support to Israel. And then last week when the vote come up for a ceasefire, where the whole world talked about a ceasefire, Jamaica never voted and gave us some primary school exclusive. Camilla Johnson and the Brogan, yeah. The Prime Minister.
Why would Jamaica not vote in that?
Well, that is what we want to know. What is it that Israel has over Jamaica that Jamaica can defy 2/3 of the world and still support Israel? Yeah.
But how can anybody support what is happening to the Palestinians?
That's the point. So that is a question that we need to ask Andrew Wallace and Camilla Johnson and the entire JLP cabinet, how them can support something like that. Because even within the...
Biden send a man down there say to Israel, say, yeah, what go on, I got damage.
That's not just a man. Hold on, man. I could put it in perspective. The man that Biden said is not just a man, It's the American Secretary of State, Tony Blinken.
All right.
The
bigger man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, put it that way so that the people of Jamaica understand
that it's not a normal man go down there. It's
not a normal man. Top man.
About second in command or third in command? Third in command.
Yeah, man. Yeah, third in command. Yeah. Top man.
And the Americans are now saying that, this I even damage what it is doing to Jamaica.
Precisely. It's a big damage for Jamaica's relationship because I'm saying to you, if the oil price blow up, there's no way that Jamaica can turn to in order to get oil at low prices. So we'll have to pay the full price. And oil is our biggest bill. Jamaica has one of the highest energy costs in the entire world. And that is why we can't compete in our own market or can't compete in export market. So that problem will get greater. And then they will have to draw down more on the net international reserves in order to pay the oil bill.
Question, Hyman.
Yeah.
Can the relationship with Venezuela and Jamaica be repaired even under PNP administration?
Well, yeah, under PNP administration, it is going to take some time, but they'll be more willing to deal with a PNP administration because the PNP administration treated them properly. From the days of Michael Manley with Carlos Sanchez Curtis. Them time them look at you and know about politics. Yeah? Them are got school, primary school or prep school, them time. So one of the things with this government, apart from being dunce, them now have no historical perspective.
Yeah.
That is a big part of the problem with them.
No loyalty then.
Yeah?
No loyalty.
Yeah.
But
so them dunce, them now have no historical perspective and them disloyal. Yeah.
But wouldn't Venezuela, even under PNP administration, still have fear that it is still possible for a GLP administration to come back in power and do them the same thing again?
That is correct. So that is why they'll be walking very slowly in dealing with Jamaica again. That you're right. You're spot on.
So, outside of destroying Jamaica from within, Jamaica is
they're
also
destroying Jamaica's external relationship. Jamaica's relationship is at the lowest level internationally.
That's what I'm talking about.
Man.
But tell me something, Ralston. They were looking at Cuba, and it was Orlando Turlang, even though he was the junior minister for foreign affairs, was making the plea for Cuba. Shouldn't that come from the Jamaica top boss?
Of course. But the Jamaica top boss has no principle, and everything that he does is transactional. And he's also dumb.
Talk to me, Ralston, about the fact that the Prime Minister statutory filing, has not been certified by the Integrity Commission. And we're doing business with multilaterals, banks all around the world. Do they look at that as an issue?
That is also damaging to Jamaica's reputation internationally, and is affecting our ability to generate investments, because if the Prime Minister is not accountable, it says a whole lot about the country. So yes, that is also another factor that is damaging Jamaica's relationship internationally and our ability to attract investments from international investors. Yeah, and the Prime Minister shouldn't be talking to the country any at all if we were a principled country without his declaration being certified. But Jamaica has broken down completely now. There's no principle in Jamaica. It's just a transactional entity. So all of those problems that is happening on the street have to do with the lack of confidence. Yeah? Yep.
Does the PSOJ have a responsibility to call on the Prime Minister to get this thing sorted out?
Yeah, man, but the PSOJ and Metro Siaga, they operate as an appendage of the government. They are not interested in the principles. They are just like an appendage of the government. Yeah. So if you notice when the problem with Isaac Buchanan, Mr. Metro Siaga called upon Mr. Mark Golden to apologize for Mr. Metro Siaga, but nobody called upon the Prime Minister to apologize for what those fellas did to the lady down last week. It tells you about the blatant and shameful bias of Mr. Metro Siaga and the private sector organization of Jamaica.
Where is the credibility now of those kind of organizations who have not?
They have no credibility. They have no credibility. They are just hustlers, just hustling off the Jamaican people. They have no credibility.
What about the credibility of the Fourth Estate?
That is also a part of the problem too, because the Fourth Estate is not operating as Thomas Carlyle wanted us to operate as the Fourth Estate. The Fourth Estate is either timid or extremely biased, and that is part of the big problem of the country. The Fourth Estate is not defending the constitution of the country as it should. Yeah, that's another big problem.
And when we talk about the Fourth Estate, my listeners and viewers, we're talking about the media.
The journalists.
Media.
Academia, the University of the West Indies is also the same thing. Academia, University of the West Indies, University of Technology, Northern Caribbean University. Nothing sensible is also coming out of academia. Academia is not defending the country either.
What
should the Fourth
Estate been doing now so as to have this situation? Because from where I sit, I believe the situation is untenable to have the Prime Minister when there's a constitutional. Is it in the Constitution that their filing must be made public? The Prime Minister and the opposition.
Yeah, man, it is untenable, man. It is untenable, and it is going on for too long. Yeah, man. It is untenable. So civil society, namely those business organizations, academia, University of the West Indies, University of Technology, all the universities, they are not playing the role that they should play in the process of national development. And the Fourth Estate, as I said before, they are either timid or, they are beholden. So we have the slackness where the Prime Minister coming out and talking to the country and badding up the country while his declaration are not certified. Trump style. Yeah. So that's what Jamaica has broken down to.
Let's go to some background, Ralston, Hyman, because a lot of people are saying that Nigel Clark is the best finance minister ever.
All right.
And
good point.
And the fact that he is so good, Jamaica's economy is doing well.
Yeah, man.
And getting all these upgrade from rating agencies, Moody's, and all of those are upgrading it. How can we not be doing well? Talk to us about that.
Great point. Now, if you tell your listeners, if you look at page 11 of yesterday's Gleaner, you would see how dumb he is, right? Because all he's talking about these upgrades. So what he has done, he has underspent on the country's infrastructure, underspent on the country's human capital. We talk about infrastructure, we talk about roads, we talk about hospitals, we talk about garbage collection, we talk about human capital, we talk about education. Yeah, transportation, all of them things to get an upgrade. You know what he did yesterday?
Yeah.
He borrowed money, $297 billion US dollars.
From who?
From the private capital market internationally, using Citibank and Bank of America securities. And borrowed at 9.625% to pay out debt, which we accumulated at 7.97% per annum. Now you tell me how bright he is when he did something like that.
No, but we always take cheaper loans to pay for the higher ones.
He's taking a higher loan to pay for the cheap.
We take a loan at 9% to pay for loans that we got at 7%.
9.625 to pay for loans that we got at 7.97%. Yeah. So tell me how bright he is.
But but if we do that, Ralston, it means that we are in some trouble.
That's the point I'm making. The minister is dumb.
Is it that we were about to miss on payments that we are to be?
No. And if you sacrifice all of those things in order to get those upgrades, and he's continuing, if you notice, for the last couple of weeks, he was lecturing the country about the importance of upgrades in order to borrow at lower cost.
Right.
So he needs to explain to the country How you sacrifice the country's productive capacity, got all of those upgrades, and then you have to borrow at a higher cost to pay out a low cost loan.
But
That
something
don't
right
make
with
any
that.
sense.
Something right with that. That not look good.
Yeah, yeah. And you can tell your listeners and his friends them to go and read page 11 of the Financial Glean, and then you'll see how dumb he is.
No, but explain that to us, Ralston. You borrow at 9.6%
To pay out 7.97. I'm going to give him a loan to explain that. Me can't explain that. That doesn't make no sense to me. After all of these sacrifices and all of these lectures about the importance of upgrades to borrowing at a lower cost.
But I want to suggest to you then that must mean that that loan that him borrow to pay due and we never have the money to pay it. That's the only reason you can give for borrowing at higher to pay for lower.
Yeah. So you need to give an explanation to the country. So we'll be talking about it Monday with some commentators, including the opposition spokesman and finance, because we want to call him out in the parliament to explain that. Oh, you do that, you're so bright, and you end up looking so dumb.
Why you don't have him on your program, Ralston? Why we don't hear
well,
you have him for an hour?
I've interviewed Nigel Clark a whole lot of time on my program, and I believe it's a waste of time because he can't answer any other questions. And what he does is to waste the time. You know, like you play football, like carry the ball to the corner flag and keep the ball there.
Yes.
So I don't find it as very productive to interview Nigel Clark.
Jamaica, we are at the lowest unemployment ever.
Yeah.
And the people are bawling that they are suffering. How is that possible?
Well, the people who set up a stall on the road are people who work with Mr. Chin in the wholesale downtown and across the rural parishes at minimum wage. These are not productive and well-paying jobs. And that is why, although we have the lowest unemployment rate, the output of the nation is still below where Michael Mann left in 1972.
How can we bring up this production in Jamaica? Because we need to produce to pay our bills. We can't be borrowing to pay.
All right. First, we need to dispense of Nigel Clark and these foolish policies because his policies are based on debt reduction. So we spend most of our money in terms of paying the debt faster than we should in order to get upgrades, and then we end up when the upgrades now borrowing at a higher cost. So he has us in a debt trap. We need to focus more on production. So we need to be spending more on fixing the country's infrastructure, fixing the transportation system, which makes us very inefficient, spending more on education and training of our workers. And Metro Siaga and his friends need to just stop talking and start investing. Yeah, that is what we need at this particular point in time. We need to develop an energy policy. For 7 years, the government never sent out a request for proposal for developments in renewable energy. So we need to get all of those things right. And this government, after 7 years, they have no intention of doing those things. So we need to get a new government if we're going to go on a new trajectory. Yeah.
Tell me, there were some other people who were asking for you to come on. One of the questions they had is that this administration is claiming fiscal responsibility and what they have done with the economy. Ralston, I want you to give us a background from 2007.
All right. Watch me. I've been in this thing 35 years, long before Andrew, long before Nigel Clark and all of those fellows. In 2007, Omar Run With It Davis, who them call Run With It, them friend them call Run With It Davis, him bring down the debt to GDP from 262%, to which Mr. Siaga carried it in 1989, to 115%. The fiscal deficit, he brought it down from 8.9% under Mr. Siaga to 5.5%. Poverty, he brought poverty from 20% under Siaga to 9.9%. The unemployment rate was 9% from 16% at that time. You hear them talk about reserves? The net international reserves. When Omar Davis became finance minister, the net international reserves were minus $500 million. Emphasis.
We were owing that.
Yep. And he brought it to $2.4 billion before he left. When they took over in 2007, September, the Great Recession started, and Audley Shaw, Ed Bartlett, and all of them told the country that the recession would help us. Bruce Golding told the Parliament that going to the IMF was neither necessary nor appropriate. Then the crisis took effect. The reserves ran down to $1 billion. The fiscal deficit ran to 7.5% of GDP. The overall public sector deficit was 10.75% of GDP. When they finally went to the IMF, we got an agreement in February of 2010. Prior to the agreement, all the Shaw fired central bank governor Derek Latibodier and said that two bull can't rule in one pen. And then now, when them finally reached the IMF gave them 2.4 billion upfront because the situation was so bad.
Yes.
They took the people's money and they only did one test. And as a result of that, we were locked out of the international capital market. Portia Simpson, Peter Phillips, and people like myself had to restore Jamaica's credibility in the international capital market. We passed 10 consecutive tests before, and while we were doing those tests, Andrew Wallace, Favour Williams, Arbin Hill, they were running up and down the place and saying that we're passing the IMF test, but we're not passing the people's test. So it is the PNP's administration that restores Jamaica's credibility in international capital market. It is a JLP that damaged Jamaica's credibility in international capital market. That's incontrovertible. Check the IMF, check the World Bank, check the Bank of Jamaica, check Statin. Those figures are incontrovertible.
Those are not opinion. Those are facts.
Facts.
Because when we have facts, we don't need no opinion.
No. So tell all your friends that they can. I can't tell them where they can check it. So check it at World Bank, check it at IMF, check it at IDB, check it at Bank of Jamaica, check it at Statin. Yeah.
So the platform was set, Ralston, Hyman.
Nigel Clark get the easiest IMF they've passed because before we left, we said we never wanted them to do it again. So we, in the epochs, the boy, IMF was going to a precautionary standby facility. Them time they take this only 6 months. That is what Nigel Clark got.
Yes.
So we fear that they'll do the same thing again. Yeah.
Before we go, Ralston, we talk about production. I am of the opinion, and it's not just an opinion, that the creative industry is where Jamaica needs to start looking to create wealth for our people.
That's correct. If you look at what is happening in Jamaica, and you look at international respect, no, Jamaica's bankers do not have any international respect. Jamaica's politicians do not have any international respect. The people who are respected internationally from Jamaica are the athletes and the creative people. And if you notice, those people are predominantly from the slaves.
Yes.
And that is why they are not interested in funding those industries. But those are the industries that can make us very rich.
But Ralston, I hear people praising Babsy Grange. And I am saying I am disappointed because in her budget presentation, she said that Jamaica made $2.2 billion from the creative industry, and that was 2.2 billion Jamaican from an industry that is a $3 trillion US a year industry. How can we give our respect then?
Well, here's the problem with Babs, you know. They have a budget of $1.2 trillion. You know how much money Nigel Clark give Babs? 5 billion Jamaican dollars. From $1.2 trillion.
Is it because they don't understand what the industry can bring?
One, lack of understanding, and two, they don't want to understand it because of a lack of respect for the people in those industries. It is not a brown man industry. It is a poor people industry. The people come from the ghetto and them things. Yeah, that's the difference.
Country.
Yeah, so if you notice how them deal with tourism and them things, it's different because it's a nice brown man thing. Because this government is a nice brown man government.
But the creative industry, Ralston, would help to drive our tourism industry.
Precisely. Well, that's the point I'm making. So although the economic imperatives are so clear, they don't deal with it because of the class positions that they take. And we need to recognize those things. One thing we don't want to recognize in Jamaica is the classist approach of this government. People like Nigel Clark and those people. Those people are very classist. So even when the economic logic stares them in the face, they don't want to deal with it and them hold back the country.
But people would question, Ralston, that the creative industry is not new. It has always been there. Why previous administration never capitalized on it and made the money from it?
Well, that's a very good question because the previous administration, if you notice it, apart from Michael Manley, no other leader wanted to go the full way in terms of dealing with those things.
Michael Manley set up the college the name we train the coaches them.
GC Foster and all of those things.
And the Edna Manley School of Performing Arts.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No other leader has demonstrated that level of vision that Michael Manley had.
But here where it stunned me, Ralston, because when I do my calculation and do my research, I am saying of that $3 trillion, Jamaica should be able, based on our talent and our ability and the fact that we have been out there, should be at least picking up 1% of that $3 trillion, which is 30 billion US.
Yeah, man, I agree with you 100%, man. And if we don't move to those things. What we need to do, creative industries, renewable energy, agriculture. And if you notice that all those industries are industries that would be dominated by the ordinary people, the black people from country, the black people from the urban areas.
Yes.
So the point we are making, them hold back the country by not investing in those things. What them want are the Santi and some all-inclusive tourism because of some brown manism and some brown man thing. Yes.
How we move to that place to get?
Yep. So the mindset of the leadership of a change.
Ralston, Hyman, we're paying down the debt faster, you say.
Yeah, man.
Dr. Clark says it benefits us more.
Well, tell the people and tell him to read page 11 on the financial cleaner and tell me how we benefited from it yesterday. Because if we're borrowing higher cost money to pay lower cost money, that can't make sense.
But why we don't hear the opposition on that?
Well, with the opposition spokesman is going to be talking about it on Monday morning.
Beautiful. Monday morning,
man.
Power 106 between 9
man.
o'clock and 11 o'clock.
Yeah, man.
You have the top financial program anywhere in Jamaica.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, my brother.
All right, blessings.
Blessings, we talk again.
Okay, yeah, man, cool.
And the thing, man.